If you've ever felt like one mistake cost you the entire stock, you're not crazy. Smash Ultimate is built that way. One opening can turn into 60%, a ledge trap, and a guess for your tournament life. Luigi isn't the exception. He's the clearest example of this. And once you see that, you realize he's not alone. Let's start with the characters everyone already agrees on. We've already mentioned Luigi, the Italian green plumber who was overlooked in Ultimate's early lifespan. Now, he's arguably a top 10 character in the game and defines this whole archetype. He can start his combos off of many of his aerials, his grab, and even sometimes a tilt attack. He has strong finishers in Super Jump Punch and Luigi Cyclone, enabling death from virtually all percents.
Kazuya!
Next, we have Kazuya. Released in Fighters Pass 2, people were expecting Kazuya to have a feel of 599 to him, and that's exactly what he got. From an invincible, combo-starting anti-air to his amazing down throw, and not to mention his intangible dash, Kazuya has a plethora of ways to take a stock off of one good opening. Kazuya has some of the most egregious tools out of any character to fight in this game, alongside his absurd kill power, often taking stocks with conversions at any moment.
Sora!
Released after Kazuya as the final character in the DLC is Sora. When first released, his tools seemed like they would help him function as a ranged fighter, with projectiles that would help him get openings and edgeguard opponents. Players shortly found a unique mechanic in Sora's neutral air and forward air that allowed him to halt his upwards momentum with his double jump when hitting his opponent. This enabled Sora to get insane strings off of safe moves and turned him into the character that we know today.
Peach!
Next, we have Peach, who has a ton of quirks that enable her touch of death combos. The main things she has are Float, which allows her to do grounded aerials along with staying at the same height throughout the duration of an aerial, and a throwable item projectile, which in tandem with air dodge cancel item throws allows her to piece together a ton of hits, rack up percents, and take those stocks. Another piece that contributes to this is how aerials damage the opponents. Typically, an aerial done out of a short hop will do less damage than an aerial done from a full hop. Float is special, as it allows Peach to get the full hop damage values while staying grounded, helping her get these high damage combos.
Ice Climbers!
Lastly in this section, we have the Ice Climbers. They tend to be one of the more unconventional characters on this list, but they still fall into the Luigi category. This duo might not seem too scary, but with the ability to desync the climbers, a technique which allows players to select different options with each climber, they become quite the threat. This enables high damaging true combos, 0 to death strings, and even infinites. There are way more examples than I could cover in a single video. The next group is where this pattern really starts to show. Obviously, not every character turns one hit into his stock the way Luigi does. Characters like Palutena and Wolf aren't killing you at 0. But if you look at how much one opening decides the stock, a lot more characters start to fit this idea.
Donkey Kong!
Let's start with Donkey Kong. DK doesn't kill you at 0 like Luigi, but once he gets a grab, the interaction is heavily skewed in his favor. Cargo Throw lets him decide his positioning, push you into a corner, and turn one good opening into a forced advantage state. And at surprisingly early percents, that same grab turns into his stock with DK's Cargo Up Throw into Up Air Confirm.
Meta Knight!
Let's move on to Meta Knight. He doesn't always get grouped in with Touch of Death characters, and that's fair. His reward isn't nearly as free as most characters on this list. But when Meta Knight gets the right hit, the interaction stops being even. That single opening can turn into an up air ladder that carries you to the top blast zone, or a drag sequence that pulls you towards the side and forces an early finish. It's mechanically demanding and execution heavy, but the structure is familiar. Like Luigi, Meta Knight plays for one moment, and if he gets it, the rest of the stock lies solely in the Meta Knight player's ability to execute.
Wolf!
Let's address the elephant in the room, or the wolf rather. Wolf is often seen as the opposite of Luigi, a fundamentals character who has to win neutral over and over to close out stocks. He's even part of the saying, every character in Ultimate is either a wolf or Luigi. One of the defining traits of a Luigi is the ability to play for a specific opening, and Wolf absolutely does this. His blaster doesn't just deal damage, it controls space, pressures approaches, and forces the opponent to take risks. That means Wolf isn't just playing neutral, he's shaping it, and waiting for that one interaction he wants. While Wolf isn't blowing you up for 70% off a single hit, these openings still turn into real reward, solid damage, gained initiative, and now the opponent needs to get out of disadvantage. It's not a 0 to death, but the structure is the same.
Kirby!
Let's move on to everyone's favorite pink character, Kirby. Sorry, Puff Mains. Kirby almost never comes up in the typical Luigi conversation. He has some of the worst mobility in the game, very limited range, and usually has to work harder than most other characters just to win neutral. Once Kirby gets the opening he's actually playing for, similarities start to show. His close range damage output is comparable to some top tier characters, and once you're off stage, the situation completely changes. Kirby's edge guarding is where that single opening really turns into a threat. Between the freedom from his multiple jumps, strong killing aerials like back air, and a reliable gimp tool and down air, one disadvantage take could be enough to decide the stock.
Lucas!
Let's end with Lucas, because he checks almost every box we've been talking about. Lucas has access to extremely high damage combo routes, and on certain characters, depending on fall speed and weight, those openings can even be turned into true 0 to deaths. When the combo doesn't end the stock, the situation usually gets worse. His edge guarding is strong enough that one hit can force you off stage into a sequence that's heavily stacked against you. What really ties Lucas into the Luigi archetype, though, is how opponents are forced to play around him. His biggest weakness is being camped, so players slow the game down, avoid interactions, and wait him out. It means that when Lucas finally does get the opening he's looking for, the reward is massive. Like Luigi, Lucas doesn't need a lot of interactions. He needs the right one, and when he gets it, the stock can disappear fast. So, if all these characters can turn a single opening into a stock, what does that actually mean for high-level tournament play? At the top level, players aren't trying to win more, they're trying to lose less. And some characters take that idea to its extreme. They're built to avoid interaction as much as possible, play for time, and slowly chip away without committing. That's still playing not to lose, just push to the limit. This is where touch of death threats actually matter. When one opening can flip a stock, avoiding interaction becomes dangerous. You can protect the lead for a while, but one mistake can erase it instantly. Long-term success in Ultimate isn't about overwhelming your opponent with interactions, it's about managing risk over time. Every decision, every commitment, every jumper swing is weighed against one question. What happens if this goes wrong? Because in a game like this, losing neutral once doesn't just mean taking damage. It means losing initiative, losing stage, and suddenly guessing for your stock. But here's the other side of that coin, and this is the part that actually makes Ultimate special. Even when you're behind, the game never fully locks you out. Imagine you're on your last stock at 100%, so your opponent is on their second stock at 20. On paper, that game looks over. But in Ultimate, you don't need to win neutral 10 times to come back. You might only need 2 clean openings, one to even the stocks, and one more to take the game. That's why this design works. It rewards players who make disciplined, long-term decisions while still letting single moments matter. It creates tension in every interaction because no lead is ever completely safe. And it creates hype for the viewers because the game can flip instantly without feeling random. You're never just watching damage numbers, you're watching players manage risk, wait for the right moment, and bet everything on it. And maybe most importantly, it sends a message to the players. You're never really out of the game. Even when you're behind, there's always a path back. Not by panicking, but by choosing your moments carefully. Smash Ultimate isn't about dominating every second, it's about surviving long enough to make the right decisions at the right time. So when people talk about Smash Ultimate as a one-opening game, that isn't a flaw, it's the point. Luigi isn't an exception, he's just the clearest example of how the game rewards moments. Ultimate asks players to think long-term, manage risk, and respect every interaction, because any single mistake can matter. But it also gives everyone a way back in. No lead is ever completely safe, and no game is ever truly over. That's what creates tension, that's what creates comebacks, that's what makes Ultimate so exciting to watch and play. If this changed how you think about Smash Ultimate, or made a frustrating moment finally make sense, consider subscribing. I try to break down Smash in a way that's honest, calm, and actually useful. And I'm curious, which character feels the most like a Luigi to you? Let me know in the comments.